Hey guys, Ryan Gill here with Hunt Primitive, where we entertain, educate, and inspire. And this will be kind of a shorter Adventure Friday. I'm a little bit under the weather today, but I still have to get out and collect some stuff for a future big project that we're working on. So I'm out hunting for... Well, I gotta stop a second. In the last video, we were talking about dog fennel. Not the last video, a couple videos ago. With my oldest son, Donnie. Remember we were talking about dog fennel and collecting it for spindles? Man, look at there, look at the size of that one. Whew, I'm gonna come right back through here in a little bit, but that's a good one too. Just hit a honey hole for dog fennel. I haven't been over here for quite a while. But anyway, so I'm a little bit under the weather today, but I gotta collect some stuff for an Atlatl project that we're gonna be working on soon. And it's going to be a pretty significant project, and it's not going to happen anytime super soon. But anyway, so that's what we're up to today, as we're walking around mostly looking for Atlatl supplies for a future really big Atlatl project that I'll be excited to share with you when it's time to do it. But it's gonna take a little bit more than just collecting materials and building an Atlatl. So, and if you know anything about following my channel, we're constantly into building stuff and going on great adventures and hunts. And so that's, of course, what this one's going to be all about as well. You know, unlike river cane, which anybody that follows along with me knows I love river cane. But this particular project we're working on is going to be focusing on using hardwood. And hardwood shafts, they're not going to be like river cane, where you find a stand of river cane, you just go in there and you cut what you need and you keep coming back and they're going to continue to be there. When you're hunting for good hardwood spear shafts or arrow shafts, wherever you found them last time, they're no longer there because you cut them. So you have to constantly just be willing to put on miles, and that's really what it takes. Is you're going to have to get out and put on miles and go look for exactly what you need. And more times than not, you're going to find a bunch along the way that are pretty okay to use. But do you really want just okay, or do you want the best ones you can find? And that's where the putting on miles really comes into play. That you do need to cover a lot of ground to find the right ones and exactly what you're looking for. All right, so this is what I'm primarily looking for. However, I don't see any here that I can specifically use. But let's show it to you. So that's Arrowwood Viburnum. Call it Arrowwood because it makes great arrow shafts typically. And there's probably one back there that would make a decent arrow shaft. I'm not really on the hunt for arrows today. However, being opportunistic, if I see some really good shafts that I can't live without, I'll make sure I get those as well. But this Arrowwood Viburnum is scared of deer. Talking loud. Deer just, I don't think y'all heard it, but a deer blew at me up there on the hill and then ran off. But yeah, so that's Arrowwood Viburnum. And in some places, you can see how tall it'll get. Sometimes you'll get some really, you can see it's got like a propensity to throw straight shoots, especially that would be good for arrows like this one. This stuff does shrink. This one's probably actually a little bit thin, and it looks like it might be thick for an arrow shaft, but it's actually a little bit thin, because what you'll find with this stuff is it's got a very thick bark and cambium layer, and when you peel that and it shrinks down, it'll make a very, very thin and light spined arrow. So like something like that, it's not a very good straight one, and I don't love it. If I needed it, I can come back and get it. But something that size is actually going to be closer to what you're going to want for an arrow, which seems ridiculously sized compared to what we normally look for. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be hunting for as far as finding longer spear shafts. And then of course, if you've seen us look at stuff previously, they're not ripe yet, but that's Sparkleberry, and I do use that for a lot of arrow shafts as well. That's my preferred arrow shaft material, is actually Sparkleberry. But we very, very rarely ever find one long enough to make a spear unless we splice it with a lap joint, and I do have a video on doing that. And that's where you can take different shorter sticks and then joint them together with the lap joint with nothing but primitive glues and sinew and make good long spear shafts. So if we have to do that, then that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to keep our eye out and see if we can find exactly what we're looking for. And if not, we'll find what we need one way or another. Really is a beautiful location though. Down in a lot more of these wet type of locations is where we typically find the best and biggest Arrowwood Viburnum. Well, you can see here we had a really wet year last year, and you can see the sand that's flowed, that this was running water coming down this this drainage, and this doesn't normally hold or run water, but it moved a lot of sand around, just running like a stream, and that's not normal for around here, but it happens. But anyway, here's another Arrowwood Viburnum, and look how big this one is. Holy smokes. That's way too big for an Atlatl dart, but man, if you were in the market for, actually that one right there might be good, because by the time it shrinks out, I think we got a winner right there. But this one here, it's big. That's like a bigger thrusting spear piece, which I don't really work with those ever, but something like that might also be really good for using like a thrusting fish gig. So we might collect that one. But yeah, without a doubt, that's a good size for an Atlatl. There's a messed up spot there, but that should be fine. I don't think that's going to pose us a problem. It would if it was an arrow shaft. But we'll have at least a good 6 or 7 foot stretch that it's bent, of course, and then there's another branch up off the top, and that might be a little bit of a problem, but I don't think it will. I think we'll be able to straighten it right out, and by the time we remove that bark and it shrinks down, I think that's going to be a good spear shaft for us. All right, we got a really nice shaft here, so take our stone knife and we're going to score all the way around it. We don't have to cut completely through it. Now the reason I don't just score it quick and break it off is I'm going to probably end up drilling this out for a 4-shaft later. And I really don't want to split the end if I can help it. I could always trim it, but I got to keep as much length on this as possible. There, that worked out really well. Well, that's plenty tall. So right here at this joint, we're going to cut that again and then trim it there. And that'll probably be about perfect for us. And that was about a good 7-footer for us. Like I said, that inner bark, and it'll all shrink out. It looks like it's pretty big now, but it's going to shrink out quite a bit. That's going to be about perfect for us. All right, we got that one. And I tell you what, I think I am going to get this one here in a couple minutes. That's just too perfect of like a thrusting fish gig stick not to cut. I don't know that we would find a better one than that. And I've been wanting to do a gig rather than just a spear, but I'm going to come back to it because I want to just check down here a little bit more and see if I can't find another viburnum shoot in this little bit more wet area. Definitely lots of stuff to look through. Boy, if that one wasn't broken, it would probably be really good, but it's snapped off at the top, and it's probably only about 5 foot long. Well, no, it's longer than that. And actually with a 4-shaft put in it, that might be a good one to run with. That's a nice diameter. That might be a good one. I said I'm about 6 feet and it's as tall as I am. So if I cut it right down at the base and cut it right there, man, I think we got another winner. That's a really good one. That's odd to find them that close together, but sometimes if you just got a good spot of it, you got a good spot. I just want to score it all the way around. That old skunk vine off of there. Man, check that thing out. That is a fish gigging type of spear if I ever saw one. That thing's like 8 foot, 6, 7, 8.5, almost 9 foot tall. Man, that'd be great. In fact, I'd probably use it the other way. Hang on to it here with the weight. Put a forked or a tri kind of prong on the other end, and then just be able to get catfish or whatever right down to the bottom. You saw my that last bow fishing video. That would have been a great opportunity where they were trapped in some of them pools. Ended up kind of getting down in the water next to some of them to finish them off, you know, to put another spear in them, where we'd just be able to take this gig and just ram it right into them, and that's a done deal then. Well, the best time to get fire making stuff is when you find fire making stuff. And these dead cedar branches, it'd be just about perfect. That one's a little bit too dead, but let's pull it back, snap it off. And I'll tell you what, that is some great fireboard material right there. Bring a nice stick of that home. That is perfect fireboard material. Great ignition temperatures on that those dead cedar sticks. Those things are perfect hearth boards. And of course we want to remember to get some of these good dog fennel spindles. Look at that. That's what I should have brought my boy here. There's some great ones to find here. They're nice and long. We got one good one, and then there's this Oh, there's another one down here. It's just laying dead. Man, that's another really nice one. That's just already hanging out for me. And then there's that big one right there. Let's get that one too. So that big fat one right there, that's a really good bow drill spindle. Probably hand drill good with that too, but I got these other ones and they will make very fine hand drill spindles. And there's a whole bunch more here, but I'll leave them for now. I may come back and collect more another day when we adventure here, but there's a whole sea of these things out here. Most of them are a little too small, but they're just dead and they're gonna rot anyway, so you might as well pick them up when you find them. And that right there is a heck of a good combination for hand drill fire. Cedar, dead cedar sticks, and dog fennel. And then honestly, you could even take this bigger dog fennel and use that for a hearth board as well, but it's a little bit soft, so I think we'd end up having burn through problems like we did with the palm branch. So that cedar is going to be perfect with those dog fennel spindles. Man, I'm looking forward to when these sparkleberries get ripe. They're one of my favorite little trail snacks, and they're just absolutely everywhere. This is just kind of an interesting place to stop as I come through. This is kind of a little bit of a high... Oh, there's a deer. I jumped a deer right there. This is a little bit of a high ground spot. A little higher here than everywhere else. And if you go over the knoll that way, it goes down and there's a little bit of a lake down there. I was chasing some hogs there last year. And then coming down off the hill that way, probably, oh, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 miles as the crow flies, is that rock quarry, that ancient rock quarry where I took my youngest son, Dalton, and showed him that last week. And it doesn't take long to look around. And this high spot, there's one right there. Look at that little piece of worked stone. So that came out of that quarry, same place. It's actually chipped right there along the edge. But there's a whole bunch of just little flakes that are just hanging out on the surface around here. And it doesn't take long to wander around and find a few. But this would have been probably an interesting place, like a landmark for them, that they come right to the top of this hill. And I don't know why they would stop here where there's no water, because if they just keep going down that way for another, not even a mile, that's where the water is. Unless they were stationed up here watching out because it's high ground, and that could be. I don't really know, but there's quite a few flakes that are scattered around this whole area where they quite literally just sat on top of this high rise and broke rock that they probably had just gone and gotten from that quarry, and then probably brought bifaces and spalls back with them, and then sat around here in the evening time and broke rock. Right there, that's another little flake of stone. Just a little chip of chert. So again, I have no idea why on earth they would want to stop right at this one little high spot and chip rock here, of all places, especially when there's water about a mile away. But I suppose they bring their own water with them as well, so don't know. Definitely one of the great mysteries that we don't often understand why things are the way they are. But one of the things that I enjoy is being able to be around an area like this and just know that there were people here either hundreds or thousands of years ago. I have no idea how old this site would be. And it's not even really a big occupational site. It's just a spot that I think they stopped over, camped, broke some rock. But there were people here doing the exact same thing that I do pretty much every single day. Heard some walking around up here. I figured I'd show you this guy. I take it for granted that we have these around. Try not to scare them because I want you to see them really good. So that's a gopher tortoise. And I've always taken it for granted that we have these around, because I grew up around here and we had them in our yard all the time. So that wasn't anything out of the norm until we realized that they're not all over Florida. They're really isolated to these sandy spots. And I mean, they're in different places in Florida, but they're not like super endangered, but they're definitely threatened and their habitat's endangered. But such interesting land tortoises. And just kind of for scale on that, you know, there's my hand. So, and they're just nice little guys, and I just thought you guys would like to see that. So he'll just run around and do whatever it is he does. I just thought maybe it'd be fun to come home and spin up a coal out of the materials I just collected. A little bit of Osage shavings. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for our adventure today. I'm going to get home and clean up and get a little bit of rest. But this was a nice little place to stop by just on the way out. And just kind of look around and show you some chirp flakes that somebody had dropped a long time ago. So hopefully we'll catch you on our next adventure.